everyone! Welcome back to Story Hive. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update. Let's jump into today's story. My wife came out as asexual, and that's why we don't have sex. So I said we should divorce. Now she's refusing to accept it and suggested that I could have unlimited access to her friend instead. My wife 29th and I 34 have been married for 4 years, and up until a year and a half ago things were fantastic. Our marriage began to deteriorate after there was a significant drop in our physical intimacy, not emotional intimacy, just the physical aspect of our relationship. We would still cuddle, have deep, intimate moments, talk, and enjoy each other's company, but she kept rejecting my attempts to move beyond kissing. We had no problem communicating, so I made sure to address it early on. We talked and made adjustments. About a month ago, she returned from a therapy session and told me that she believes she's asexual, which is why she has had no bedroom drive lately. I was definitely confused because we had a great physical relationship at the beginning of our marriage. Her revelation was heartbreaking because everything else was great. Obviously, I'm not going to force her into sex, so we had a long conversation about our relationship. She immediately rejected the idea and said we would figure something out, then refused to discuss it further. I didn't know what to say, so I dropped it. 3 weeks went by without any sexual activity. I filed for divorce and had her served with the papers last week. When I got home from work, she was going about her day as if nothing was wrong. I asked if she had signed the papers, and she flatly said we are not getting a divorce, then changed the subject and acted like everything was normal. I found this behavior crazy, so I stopped her and said I couldn't remain in a marriage without sex. I mentioned that I was being incredibly fair with our divorce terms. She could keep the house that we bought and paid for in cash. I would take all of the debt, which isn't much. We would split our savings and investments in half, and she could keep 2 of our 3 paid-off cars. Thankfully, we don't have kids. I love her and want her to be comfortable, and I have no problem starting over since I make a good income. But she won't budge or talk about the divorce. This brings us to 2 days ago. I came home and went to our bedroom to find my wife's friend 27th in our bed, completely undressed. I immediately shut the door, apologized, and went looking for my wife. I found her in the kitchen and asked what her friend was doing here. She said that her friend was here for me. I put 2 and 2 together and said that I'm not having sex with other women in place of the woman I chose to marry. She was adamant that I could sleep with her friend whenever I wanted, and that her friend agreed to it. I couldn't believe things had gotten this far, so I went back to our bedroom and asked her friend to leave. I packed a bag and have been staying in a nearby hotel since that night. My wife, her mother, and her sister keep calling me, but I'm just not interested in hearing what they have to say. This feels like a trick. I just want this whole thing to be over. Does anyone have advice? Is this some kind of ploy for alimony? Should I just contact my lawyer and try to force the divorce? I'm really uncomfortable with this entire situation. Update 1. I'll try to keep this as concise as possible. I feel overwhelmed, so I probably won't post another update after this one. My wife came to my hotel last night, and we talked about everything. She told me the full truth and what's been going on in her mind. A few of you commented on my last post, so you were right. She has always been asexual. She and her whole family have known this since she was 16. Apparently, this is why her last long-term relationship of 3 years ended. He broke up with her after the sex between them diminished to being non-existent after the first year. She told me that sex is easier for her in the beginning when emotions are running high, but she still needs to force herself to do it. I knew they broke up due to irresolvable differences, but didn't ask for details, nor did she tell me. After a lot of apologies and crying, she told me that I was the first person she was able to tolerate sex with for so long, and that she did enjoy it a handful of times. However, after a while, I broke down after hearing this and started kicking myself. She said she tried her best to please me as much as she could. She still doesn't want a divorce and doesn't want the house, cars, or savings. She just wants me and is ready to do whatever it takes to keep me. She even said she would sign a post-nup stating this. As for her friend, she was there during her last breakup and supported her through it. My wife went to her after I brought up divorce and talked things out. Her friend suggested opening the relationship for me, but my wife didn't want me sleeping with strangers, so her friend volunteered to be the one to sleep with me. My wife thought this was a great idea, which led to the fiasco at our house. I won't comment on her appearance because it doesn't matter, and I don't blame the friend. My lawyer got back to me, and you were all right. I don't need her permission to proceed, but I will have to wait if I want to push it through. I asked her why she didn't tell me the truth earlier, and she said she was tired of being rejected after revealing she was asexual. She convinced herself that she would be able to force herself to have sex during the relationship. The hormone testing, the therapy sessions, and all of our solutions were just her way of buying time to find another way around sex, or to build up the strength to start having regular sex with me again. Our conversation ended with us holding each other in bed, crying for a couple of hours. No, we didn't have sex. She pleaded with me to hold off on the divorce and to look for a solution together, then left my hotel room. I'm now sitting alone typing this post, and I guess I've learned that we don't share everything with each other. I don't know what I'm going to do. Update 2. After my last update, my wife asked me to meet with her about a week later to discuss things. I've been staying at an extended stay hotel since that night with her friend. We met at our house and talked for a few hours. She started with a ton of apologies for how she acted, lying about her bedroom drive. Before I could say anything, she presented a signed post-nup agreement she had drafted with a lawyer, stating that she doesn't want anything, no house, cars, savings, or anything. I felt like the biggest jerk for thinking she was tricking me for more money. I asked her if she was serious, and she told me to take the post-nup with me and sign it when I'm ready. I still haven't signed it. It's in my backpack. I told her that I still think divorce is our best course of action, and that we both deserve to find someone who matches our needs. She refused and borderline begged me to reconsider. She started crying, and so did I. Seeing her like this was devastating. I told her that finding other women for me to sleep with wasn't going to work. What if I develop feelings for them? What if I get one of them pregnant? Do we expect her to just erase the fetus? She said we would figure it out as we go along and begged me to give her more time to work on solutions. I said that it sounded like we were going through the same issues again, but she was adamant and pleaded with me to wait. There were more apologies on both sides, and we kissed for a while before ending the conversation. I went back to my hotel that night. A few days later, I tried texting her, but she didn't respond. So I called her dad. For context, I'm avoiding her mother and sister since they're saying the same things as my wife. Her dad told me that she moved back home and has been holed up in her room since our talk. She's called out of work, and he said she's barely eating, bathing, or talking to him or her mom. He asked me what I was going to do, but I didn't have an answer. He just said he understands and would be here to talk anytime I wanted. I went back to her house, and a good portion of her stuff was gone. The place feels empty. I've been sleeping in one of the spare rooms. I'm planning to fly to my mother's house in a couple of weeks to spend time with my family and decompress from this situation. I'm still on the divorce side of the fence, but I guess there's no rush. Thank you to everyone for your insight and concern. Seriously, I know we're all strangers, but most of you have been a huge help to my mental health. Thank you. Also, My cousin uses Reddit and reached out after he found my last post. He asked me to give him a shootout if I made an update. Love you, Virgil. Thank you for being there for me. Update 3. I've been trying to process everything that's happened over the past few weeks, and I wanted to give a final update. After my last post, I continued staying at the extended stay hotel. I felt like I needed some space to think things through. My wife's dad kept in touch, and he's been supportive, but I've been avoiding talking to her mother and sister because their input hasn't been helpful. I eventually decided to visit my wife's family home to check on her. When I got there, the house felt eerily empty. Many of her belongings were gone, and the place had a cold, deserted feel to it. I found out from her dad that she had moved back to her old bedroom and had been isolating herself. She wasn't eating or taking care of herself. Her dad was concerned but understood that this was a difficult situation for both of us. I spent a couple of nights in one of the spare rooms trying to get some rest and clear my head. I'm planning to visit my mother's house soon for some time away to recharge and get a better perspective. I'm still leaning towards proceeding with the divorce, but I've realized that there's no immediate rush. I want to make sure I'm making the right decision for both of us. The most recent contact I had with my wife, I haven't responded, as I still need more time to think. Her dad said he would keep me updated on her condition, and that she's still struggling but is willing to talk whenever I'm ready. I'm grateful for all the support and advice from everyone who's read my story. It's been incredibly helpful to hear different perspectives and know that I'm not alone in dealing with this. It's been a tough journey, but I'm trying to navigate through it with as much clarity as I can. I appreciate all the concern and understanding from those who have followed along. Thanks again to everyone for your support, and a special shout-out to my cousin Virgil for being there for me. I'm going to take things one step. Update 4. After taking some time to myself, I've come to a place where I feel ready to share what's happened next. I've been staying with my mom for a few weeks, trying to decompress and get some perspective on everything. The distance has been good for me. It's allowed me to think clearly and figure out what I really want moving forward. During my time away, my wife reached out several times, and I finally decided to respond. We had a long and emotional conversation over the phone. She's been struggling a lot, as her dad mentioned, and she's been seeing a therapist regularly. She admitted that she's been in a very dark place and that our situation has been weighing heavily on her. She expressed deep regret for how things have unfolded and reiterated her desire to make things work. She's committed to working on her issues and has been doing a lot of soul searching. She wants to pursue a more open dialogue with me and is willing to explore different ways to address our intimacy issues. While she still acknowledges her asexuality, she's open to finding a compromise that respects both our needs. I also met with her therapist, which was a new experience for me. It gave me a better understanding of the challenges she's facing and the strategies they're using to help her cope. I found the session helpful in grasping the complexity of her situation and the seriousness of her commitment to change. We've agreed to give our relationship another try, but with clear boundaries and expectations. We are going to start with couples therapy to work through our issues together. The goal is to create a space where we both feel heard and supported, and to find ways to rebuild our connection. I'm still cautious and taking things one step at a time. I'm hopeful but also realistic about the challenges ahead. This journey is going to require patience and a lot of communication. For now, I'm focused on staying positive and supporting my wife as she works on her personal growth. We are both committed to seeing if we can find a way forward together. Thank you again to everyone who has offered support and advice. It's been invaluable during this difficult time. I'll continue to update as things progress, but for now, I'm hopeful that this new chapter might lead to some positive changes for both of us. Thanks for tuning in to today's Reddit story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss out on more amazing stories. See you next time.